Strange.
How are we all doing there, Jason? You're worried.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's for some reason no one's coming in, and I don't know why. So just bear with me for a second.
Sure, no problem. We're all banging in a door.
Yeah, they are somewhere. This is why I don't usually do this bit. That's why Sarah usually does it.
So we'll tell a few jokes while we're waiting, will we?
Yeah, just sorry about this.
Sandra, you're the one that's got to go first. You're top left of my screen. Tell us a joke.
What do you want? What's the question?
Catch you off guard. I was saying, let's tell a few jokes.
Oh.
And you can start.
God, I have no jokes. I'm really bad at telling jokes. You kind of got me. Get me talking and I'll be hilarious. But like telling jokes, I'm really, really bad at.
I can never remember them.
Yeah.
Not remember them too.
Afterwards, I think, oh yeah, that's a really good joke. And you know, the window has long gone. And it's like, there's no point in coming back.
Or they mightn't be clean enough for this.
That's also the situation. And don't forget, we are recording, or Jason's recording this. So yeah. I always think when alcohol is involved, it's probably, you know.
Okay, John, if you go for it now.
Good stuff, Jason. Thanks for that. Okay, welcome everybody. A few last minute glitches, always the way. Monday morning, called Monday morning motivation. So we're motivated to get you all together and join us on this panel discussion about social media. So I'm sure there'll be a few more coming in during the course of the next few minutes, but we're a little bit late started. So we're going to kick off. We're going to push it back a little bit as well. So don't you guys worry. We have plenty of time to go through the panel and get you guys to ask some questions. We'll shift it forward, maybe end 5 minutes past the hour if everybody can accommodate that. Or if you can't, no worries at all. But we'll do our best to squeeze in as much value added into this session. So it's all about social media, becoming a social media sensation on a budget. And I think that last piece is really important, on a budget, because anybody can do anything with, you know, bottomless pit of money and resources. And obviously startups in particular and business in general, particularly in this environment, don't have that. So it's all about becoming a social media sensation, whatever that means for you and your business, on a budget. And I'll be coming to the panelists in a moment to introduce everybody. But a little bit about me very quickly. My name is John Stapleton. I've been involved in a number of startups over the years, always in the food and drink space, brands like New Covent Garden Soup Company and Little Dish. And since we sold Little Dish in 2017, I think it was, I've been involved in helping startups in the food and drink space in the UK and in Ireland and in Germany, where I live right now, grow and scale. And I do that, I guess, as an individual, but also as part of what we launched recently in Ireland, the Reedsdale Food Fund, which is the first VC food fund dedicated to Irish startups. We can talk about that at some point later in the series. I think maybe at the next session, we're going to be talking about funding your business. But for now, let's get back to the topic in hand, which is becoming a social media sensation on a budget. Like I say, we've got 4 wonderful panelists here from various different stages and areas of the food industry in Ireland. But just to let you know, guys, apart from the timing that we've just moved around a little bit, we'll have about 30 minutes to go through the questions that I've got for these panelists, and then we'll go to you guys for questions, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes if we have some time. So please fill in the Q&A section as we go through, or if you've got any questions off the bat, just put them straight in there and Jason will handle it in the background. And we'll go to you then at the end for you to ask your question to put to the panelists, either generally or to anyone specifically. And a little bit more about what Bread and Jam is all about, by the way. I've been involved in Bread and Jam now for a while, mostly in the UK. In fact, they've got a big annual event, Jason, don't you guys, coming up next week in London, the big festival, Bread and Jam Festival. And that's a really interesting and exceptionally worthwhile session to get to if you possibly can. It's based in London in the UK, but very relevant also for Irish businesses. But also they've been branching out into Ireland the last year or so as well. And Bread and Jam Ireland is becoming more and more a go-to location to get advice and understanding more about what is happening in the food and drink space in Ireland. So I'd recommend you go to the Facebook group, which is Food Hub Ireland, and become part of that community and part of that whole scene and ecosystem. Sandra, I'm going to hand over to you. Sandra's going to talk to us a little bit about the BIA Innovator Campus based in Athlone Rise. So Sandra, take it away.
Thanks very much. Morning all, and apologies for the delay, but I have a challenge to get this done in 2 minutes or less. So I am going to get going with you guys now. Hold on, share it. Now, everybody see that? All happy? My name is Sandra Regan, and I work with the Be Innovative campus here in Athenry, and I am going to take you through what we are all about in 2 minutes or less. Is my screen moving on there, guys?
Can just see the first slide at the moment. Sandra.
Yeah, I can. Oh, here we go. So really briefly, I'm going to take you through the key points. So we are the Be Innovative campus here in Athenry, and just to be clear, we are a non-profit, not-for-profit organization, and we have been founded and funded by a number of agencies, communities, social enterprise and governmental enterprises as well. We have raised about 7 million in the last couple of years to get where we are today, and we have a board of voluntary directors as well who kind of support us and help us get along in the day-to-day. Suppose, why did we do what we do? This map is a really good indicator of food incubators in Ireland. As you can see, the west of Ireland has been really underserved by food incubation and innovation. So we were very lucky to link in with Teagasc. We have a site here on the Mellow campus in Athenry. And also with that link with Teagasc, we link with Cork and Dublin as well for their technical expertise. To kind of give you some insight to the scale and growth, the scale and size of BIA, we have 3 buildings in total. The back 2 buildings there are what we call our own door units, starting at starter level and going to growth, and I'll take you through those in a couple of minutes. And then our front building, which is our co-working units and also our BIA OLIS. So how does BIA OBA work, which is kind of the production and manufacturing side of BIA Innovator? So what we have is 4 co-working kitchens. They're on a pay-per-use. All the appliances we have are commercial level and specific to the type of kitchen you'd be working in. So say, for example, we have a meat kitchen, we have a dairy, and we have a seafood, and then we have general co-working. So within the meat unit, there are like bowl choppers, sausage makers, clippers, etc. And then there is an oven for smoking. So that is dedicated purely for raw meat production. In the dairy unit then, for example, there's homogenizers, pasteurizers, all that good stuff. So while it's a place to come and produce your goods and go on and sell, it's also a place to come and do product development. So you may already have a production unit in operation. You want to do product development. You don't necessarily want to invest in the equipment straight away. And you also need the technical expertise. This is a really good working option for you as well. So if you're coming from kitchen, that's where you go to your co-working. If you're already developed, we would kind of recommend that you would take a starter unit. The own door units are on an own contract of 4.5 years lease. They come with food grade paneling, resin floors, and the best of metal drainage as well. We have 9 60 square meters units, and then we have our growth or acceleration units, and there's 3 by 240 square meters there. So while we are space predominantly, we also have, which is kind of a bit innovative, is also facilities and services. So while you come here, you have access to expert advice. So there's expertise here. You need to start up, grow, scale up, or develop new products, whether that be technical, commercial, or through our agencies. Upskilling, one of our anchor tenants is GRETB. We also are linked in with Safe Food as well. So there would be like training and continuous personal development. We'll have summits, events, etc. And then the community. And the community is hugely integral here at Be Innovator. And this is gathering the likes of you guys, like-minded people together to be able to learn and teach each other and to have that backup and that support from your own peers. So I suppose from a technical aspect, which is a really important part here in BIA, we have 2 food technologists on site, and further on we'll have a head of innovation. I'm not going to go through these individually, but this will give you a kind of an insight into the type of work we can do to support your businesses. I suppose from a BIA OLIS perspective, we range from anything in support from idea concept to shadowing. Shadowing is really important in that people who haven't worked in manufacturing, we have a number of companies who are willing to take you into their business for a day or so you can actually fully understand what manufacturing entails, and everything right up to BRC level and regional upskilling. So there is a phenomenal amount of support, and we have a phenomenal amount of support network here as well. I wanted to kind of give you an idea today of what BIA is going to look like. So in our business engagement zone, we have a number of rooms that's going to support all that networking and that agency support. One of them is a buyer showcase room. We also have a 60-seater auditorium. We have meeting rooms. We have hot desks. And the newest member was a meeting room, but is now going to be a podcast room. So these are available for members of BIA, not just tenants, but also members as well, to come and use these facilities and avail of these facilities either for themselves or to kind of gain training as well. And I suppose I continuously talk about building a community, and a community is hugely important. And that's why we linked in with Bread and Jam UK as well, to develop the whole Bread and Jam Ireland concept. So what we are asking you is to please get involved, be part of our sharing community and spread the word, and also invite your peers. This is a great opportunity to learn and to give and to be part of a community that is very much focused on your industry. So that is all from me. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen to me. I'd like to think I did that in under 3.5 minutes, which is the challenge John gave me. Look, you guys are in for an exciting next 30 minutes. How to be a social or a sensational social is one thing, how to do it on a budget is another. And I am very excited to hear this. So thank you so much.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Sandra. That's a great summary. I think it probably was about 3.5 minutes. We won't hold you to it. But joking aside, that's a fantastic resource. Not only to have the space to set up and get on, to get on the market and prove your concept when you're at a startup stage, but also to have all the support services all around you. And I know, like, a lot of people look at this and they really struggle to outsource, and outsource may not be the right thing. You want to protect your IP, you want to control your quality, a whole bunch of reasons why you want to do it yourself. And it can be really difficult to get on that first rung of the ladder. And that's a fantastic resource. It's great to see it in the west of Ireland as well. So well done, Sandra. Thanks for the summary on that. Right, so listen, back to the panel. We've got a wonderful panel here, and I think one of the great things about it, looking at the faces here that we've got in front of us, is that it's a great mixture across the different routes to market of the food industry in Ireland. So we got representatives of brands that sell through retail predominantly, or D2C, or food service, or wholesale. So and when you're talking about trying to address your target market, first of all, you got to know who your target market is, and then you got to engage with them, and you got to know where they are. And it's always different depending on lots of things, but particularly the route to market. So we're going to get a broad, I think, spectrum today of understanding of why different businesses get involved in social media at all, and how they do it. So very quickly, so we've got a whole bunch of people here, as I say. We've got Ruth from Glenilen Farm, and Glenilen is very well known and very well renowned dairy business based out in Cork, of course. Natalie, we know each other from years gone by in food service, don't we? Bean Goose, it's a chocolate brand, but more than chocolate, it's a sustainable and ethical chocolate brand. Maeve from Achill Island, sea salt, and also then Justin, basically it's a coffee roasting business and involved in wholesale and D2C. So I'm just going to kick straight in, and I'm going to go through the cycle as they appear on my screen so I can keep track of it. Justin, I'm going to go to you first, but very basically, it's like, give us an introduction to yourself very quickly and explain what you do, but particularly why you do social media and what it is you do in social media and why you do it.
Yeah, so I have a small coffee shop, family-run business down in Dingle. We set up 7 years ago, and to this date now we have another shop in Killarney, and we have a roasting company as well. And Instagram for us has been a major part of building our brand and helping out on sales and everything like that over the last few years. And it's been good so far. So we currently have around about 12.7 thousand followers on Instagram, and as you know, it's by far our biggest social media platform. And it's going well, and it's helped us, especially during, obviously everybody keeps talking about the pandemic, but it helped us during the pandemic, reaching out to new customers through Instagram with sales. We use Facebook a little bit, but more so as kind of post through Instagram onto Facebook. So the main goal when we first started using Instagram was to give like a little window into the shop, because we essentially just had a coffee shop at the beginning, and we wanted to show people that weren't actually in Dingle like a bit of vibrancy through Instagram, so like a little snippet of what we do inside the shop. And it come across quite well. So like we try and involve like staff, family members, and pockets of the color scheme that we have through our Instagram. It's just to give people an insight before they actually come to the coffee shop. And then as things have grown, we've kind of used Instagram as a way of a marketplace for us to promote our products. So yeah, no, it's been good so far. Yeah.
So Jason, if I can paraphrase that, it's kind of like giving the consumer a little insight into the experience they would get before they get to the store.
Yeah. So like a little snippet. So like kind of like a little window into the shop itself. So we had a lot of pictures of the shop, latte art and other products, and it just gives people a little bit of something before they actually come to Dingle, and then hopefully the experience when they come to the shop itself is a good one. And and it kind of links into that kind of what we're about, the kind of vibrancy, kind of atmosphere, family run business. So Instagram was a great platform to get across that to a far reach of people from around the country. Yeah,
wonderful. So. Thanks for that, Justin. Ruth, I'm going to come to you next with a very similar question, and I'm assuming here, but assumptions are always a bad thing, given Glenilen and your position in retail, etc., that your objective of social media might be a bit different to Justin, but tell us more.
Yeah, so I'm Ruth. I'm the sales and marketing executive for Glenilen Farm. So we've kind of a small team. So myself and my manager, and I look after all things kind of digital marketing, so the website, social media, and stuff like that. But with social, it's a bit different to yours, Justin. It's kind of more like kind of getting people to like kind of, I suppose yogurt is kind of like some people can find a boring product, so it's kind of getting people to like try it and like make sure it's interesting. And we put up recipes. So since I started, we've kind of done a few photo shoots. With kind of people and photo shoots just with our branding and stuff like that, and reels and recipes and stuff like that, I think work really well, and people, you can see like the engagement on them as well. So yeah, Glenilen Farm, we're kind of based in West Cork in the middle of nowhere, so we've really nice scenery as well, so trying to get that into the background of some of it is nice. So yeah, just to get people aware and what they can do and make with yogurt is kind of what we'd be trying to inspire people with.
Sure, and I noticed as well from your website, particularly, that you're not doing just yogurt. You've got kefir, and you've got other sort of products. Did that have a role to play in the social media that you've done? Has that shifted the balance in any way because of a different audience or a different product range?
It hasn't really. So I suppose, yeah, kefir is just all around gut health. That's kind of trending at the moment, and we're kind of looking into different things we can do with that, like for social media, for campaigns for this year and next year. So like it does kind of depend on like what, like I think we were lucky with just kefir. We do cheesecakes and butter, but they're not as widely distributed as our yogurts and kefir are. So I suppose focusing on what people can pick up in their local store is a lot easier than the messaging us being like, oh, I can't find it. So we kind of focus on what's nationally distributed more than kind of like those kind of products that would be in their local stores.
Thanks for that, Ruth. Maeve, I'm going to come to you with a very similar question. Please just let the audience know who you are and what you do. But my kind of comment to the question is that, all the brands we got here are fantastic in terms of product quality, but particularly purpose as well. But I guess Achill Island Salt jumps out for me in terms of purpose, because you got a wonderful heritage and provenance in terms of all of what you do there. How do you use social media to get that message across?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So I'm Maeve. I'm from Achill Sea Salt. We're a small family business in Achill making salt. And yeah, like you said, social media is really important for sharing, I guess, where we're from. Our product is so linked to Achill Island because it's the water that comes from around the island. So for our social media, it's a lot about sharing photos of Achill, the really nice scenery. And we like to give snippets as well of, I suppose, how we make the product. A lot of people don't really know how you make salt, so it's nice to share that insight for our audience, just to like little snippets of the sea salt crystallizing and things like that. So yeah, it's like, and then our family, so we're a small family business, so it's all about sharing that and kind of how, we're so small and we've grown over the years. So yeah, we're a lot smaller than the other businesses here, but social media is really important, I guess, just for getting ourselves out there and sharing our story.
Thanks, Maeve. And one just maybe add on to that question is, what's your typical route to market? How do you sell your products through, and who is your customer?
Yeah, so we sell both retail and into the catering industry and for food ingredients. Retail is our, I suppose, primary channel, and we're mainly stocked in Ireland. It's generally small kind of artisan stores and a lot of the super values in the West. And we also sell online and we ship globally. So they're kind of, we're quite small, so it's kind of online is really important for us, especially, I know, as we already spoke about the pandemic, but using social media to drive people to our website is also quite important because we're not in a huge amount of stores through all over Ireland.
Nice one, thanks, Maeve. Okay, Natalie, I'm coming to you last period because where you are on my screen, but great to see you again. Great product, tastes good and does good, I'd say is the way I'd paraphrase it. But tell us more about what your products do and how you use social media to convey the message.
Okay, so my name is Natalie Keane. I'm a co-founder, one half of Bean Goose. We are a luxury craft chocolate brand. We're based in Wexford, and we've been in business for about 8 years now. So social media has always been very important to our brand. We've got a very visual product anyway. Chocolate is very visual, so it makes sense for us to use social media to tell the story. But it's a great way for us to tell the story in our words, our own way. So you get complete ownership over how you tell your story, and social media is absolutely invaluable for that. I think, like everybody else, what we try to do is a mix of product images so that people know what we look like if they find us in store. We find that's important. So, but also the behind the scenes, so the team behind Bean Goose, how chocolate is made. And our brand is full of story. We've got layers and layers of story going through it. So we try and tell some of those as well as we possibly can through social media. The end goal is to either have them in store, recognise Bean Goose and have them consider us for a purchase, or to drive them to the online store, which is very important. We love that we can get them over to the online store because, again, it's a place where we tell the Bean Goose story in our own words.
I see. Excellent. Okay. So I guess if I summarize all those answers, and obviously all businesses are different and there's different focus here, of course, across the board, but it's mostly, it seems to me, what we're trying to achieve here from the four businesses point of view is awareness, storytelling, heritage, the experience, particularly of the coffee shop and the rotisserie, and then ownership of that. Ruth, I'm going to come to you next on this question. I'm going to rotate it around, so we're going the same order, but we rotate it around to start in different places. Maybe Glenilen is the one that might, and I'm guessing, but you can tell me more, is using social media to drive revenue, in addition to all the other things that you guys just mentioned. And if that is the case, because it's notoriously difficult in any marketing, never mind PR, never mind social media, to see how you drive revenue or how you draw the link between the two. Do you use social media to drive revenue, to drive sales, or to get listings, whatever it is in a retail? And if so, how does that work and what have you learned?
So yeah, since I've been working here, so a lot of people have asked me that exact question. I think it's quite difficult when you're on social media because it's not really direct, especially with our product anyway. We don't sell it online. So if there is any post we put up with call to actions, we can't sell it from our website. So there's no actual direct link that says, yes, we've sold this many products from this ad. So for us, it's quite difficult. So we've just kind of separated from that, and we go out with our KPIs if we're running a campaign, and we stick with them. And once we reach them, we can see, there has been a few retailers have got onto us and been like, oh, we saw your ad for, say, your 0% fat product. We'd love to, maybe you'd put that into our store. So that has happened once before, just from us pushing out ads. So it's more brand awareness and building those kind of key points and bringing it, say if we've launched new products that we're pushing it out on social media. But in terms of return on investment, it's quite difficult for us just because we can't sell it direct to the consumer, and plus we're based in West Cork in Ireland, so there's no actually chill distributor that will deliver it next day, so we don't even have that facility there, so it is quite difficult that way. But once we kind of put our money behind our ads and we know what reach, impressions, frequency, and we use those KPIs and link clicks, and if they click to the website, we know that they've kind of found out more information about us, so in that way we've kind of done our job.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's notoriously difficult to measure that. But you mentioned KPIs, you mentioned measurement. I was going to ask about that, and let me just drill down a bit more on that one with you, Ruth, right now, because I think that's really interesting. Absolutely understand that you use social media in the context of brand building, and if you had a website sales, it would be ideal. But what do you measure in the context of, or do you measure what you do in social media that affects then the rate of sale in a retailer that you may be on shelf with? You know, how do you find the linkage? And if you have a linkage, what do you measure to say I'll do more or less of this particular type of social media to drive my rate of sale in, I don't know, Dunnes Stores or Tesco's, wherever it might be, more? Is that possible?
So we actually launched in a Aldi stores, and they can only take you, I think it was a few products, and it wasn't selling too well. So we actually put it on social media, and through that we got more sales. Now we don't know if that was directly to my post or if it was, like, say, just because people were picking it up more as well. So it's very difficult to like find, like, say, a social media ad can go out to everyone. But like myself, would I really buy something if I go into the shop? Do you know, it's kind of very difficult to see. It's more brand awareness, so that they're aware of the brand. So when they go into the store, you'd hope they'd pick it up. I haven't found a direct link. Do you know, you can say, oh, 2%, 1% increase in sales, but I don't think it's direct, because there could be a whole load of different factors when you're going into store. There could be, you know, point of sale, there could be different shelf talkers and stuff like that. So it's really hard to just pinpoint it down to one social media ad. So it's more the bigger picture of building your brand awareness. Sure,
and you know, I painfully agree with that particular problem that we all have in that, because especially when you're launching something new, right? You kind of you're not just throwing the kitchen sink at it, but you're trying to do 3 or 4 things at the same time to maximize and accelerate the effect. And if it's successful, it's great, but you're never quite sure how much of those 3 or 4 things are working the most or not. But so you want to do everything together. You might do a price promotion, you might do some shelf talkers, and you might do a whole bunch of other things in store, and then you do some social media to kind of, you know, consolidate all of that. Yeah. And you're kind of wondering, did I do the right social media? And it's difficult to tease it all out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maeve, I come to you because of you've got a very interesting business. Going direct to retail, but also more or less B2B as an ingredient. How does it work for you in terms of social media? And can you use it as a revenue generating tool? And if so, how? Or what are your learnings or struggles with that?
Yeah, I think like Ruth, like it is very difficult to measure it. For us, social media, like it's a lot about driving people to our online store. But we don't try to like sell too much on social media. We found in the past we don't get as much traction and engagement. So it's kind of subtle ways to sell the product. Or if we launch new products, you know, we try to see if we can see an increase in sales once we've posted on social media, but we don't track it as strongly to drive sales, just because we haven't found that we're getting the engagement. For us, it's really like telling the story about the product and trying to just encourage people then to buy it. From like, I suppose, more of a retail side, we do often get a lot of like small artisan shops like messaging us on Instagram, like wondering if they could stock our products, or a lot of people just wondering like where they can pick them up locally. So yeah, it's hard. We don't have like a set way to measure it because we just find it quite difficult. But we do find, you know, when we do put a post up, we usually get like a lot of online sales. But more not trying to sell to people too much through social media. That kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that both you and Ruth mentioned about, you know, you kind of think social media is consumer interfacing, but you both of you picked up on the fact that you've got some customers, i.e. retailers coming back. They've been keeping an eye on what's on your website, and they've seen something new or see something that, you know, whatever it is you do, and come back to you and say, and have a conversation in terms of a listing. So what we're saying here is that it's not maybe not the prime source of gaining distribution, but it can help to gain distribution, or maybe extend your range when you already have something. Or maybe, Ruth, it was kind of, you know, you've got the existing range, and Glenilen is known for yogurt, but there's a whole bunch of other things like chilled dairy-based desserts or something that come out as well that people didn't know about. See it on your website, and it ends up being a distribution opportunity for you guys. Very interesting. Natalie, I'm going to come on to you. It's the same sort of question. How do you find this kind of conundrum in terms of using social media to drive revenue?
Okay, so it's very important for our brand. At the moment, our online sales are about 40%, they're worth 40% of our turnover. So there is a direct link between what we do on social and sales through the website. But Maeve, you're absolutely right. That whole idea of you can't keep selling on social. It's not actually, you have to be much subtler than that. You have to put up, actually, unless we're in a key campaign, Easter or Christmas time, we actually try to do very little selling. We try to do more storytelling, show new products. The other thing we try to do, we found it really, really useful at the moment, is email. So what we're trying to do with a lot of our social now is to drive people to newsletter sign up. And that way, when we get them in, we can have a much longer conversation with them. You know, social is very, very fast. It's very, very quick. They're scrolling, as we all do, as we all know. But they become really customers become really valuable when we can get them signed up to our newsletter and we can start a bigger conversation with them. So we're using it a lot for that at the moment. Come Christmas time, October, November, December will be a key selling period for us. So our posts, our social will change. It will be much more like a sales opportunity for us.
That's really interesting. So like developing the relationship a bit deeper through your email program initiatives, and some people, I guess, you can convert them to become an ambassador for your brand without taking you too far.
Yeah. But only if we can talk to them for a longer period of time.
Right.
So that's really important, to get them over to the website or to get them communicating some way through direct message, newsletter sign up. All of that is very, very valuable.
Great. Okay. So the message there is have a deeper, longer lasting relationship, communicate more effectively what it is you do, and in effect have them, if not become ambassadors, certainly recognize the benefits and how those benefits relate to them as consumers, and then other consumers can see that engagement going on. Excellent. Thanks for that, Natalie. Justin, I'm going to come back to you then on the final leg of this question in terms of your business, different sort of business, maybe to not retail focused, but how can you, or how do you use it in terms of revenue generating opportunity?
Yeah, so like I suppose with the Bean in Dingle Instagram, it's kind of split into two essentially. So we have like one side would be like we focus on like showing people snippets of the shop, and then the other side is trying to show people the product of our roasted coffee. So the way it kind of works is that if we put up a post about a new coffee coming up, then we might be able to see some driving sales online. So what we use Shopify, which is quite a good tool for us, because we can actually see how much percentage of sales are being coming from like the likes of social media or Instagram. We'd love to be out and reach out to more retailers and to be in small independent shops as well. That would be something we'd really be like to do. But for the moment, Instagram and Facebook has been a good place for us to pick up on sales. So I think from Instagram alone through Shopify, 70% of our sales of our coffee roast, of our roasted product is done through Instagram, and then it would be like the rest of that would be built up on people visiting the website or through Google. So yeah, no, it has been a big part for us really in driving the product and driving more sales, as well as using it as a tool to like Natalie says, like to drive show your story and everything like that. So yeah, it's worked out well.
Nice one. Thanks, Justin. Maeve, I'm going to frog leap it over to you now for the next question. And I am definitely going to come back to, if the audience were thinking about KPIs and measurement, I think it's a really interesting point. So I am going to come back to that in a moment. But I want to just jump on to the age-old question of, do you, for me anyway, it is that do you outsource your social media or do you do it yourself? I think traditionally some people think of social media as electronic PR, right? Now, clearly there's a bit more to it than that, but as a principle, it's about telling your story. And PR was doing it in the old-fashioned way, and social media is a new channel to do it, lots of channels to do it. And we always outsourced PR, didn't we? We got PR companies to do it. Is that the same approach for you guys, Maeve, at Achill Island, in terms of doing it in-house or outsourcing it? What was the pros and cons of deciding to do it the way you do it, and why? And tell us more about the benefits of how you do it.
Yeah, so we do it in-house. I guess we never really thought about outsourcing. We're such a small team and we wouldn't probably have the budget for that either. But I suppose when you do it in-house, you have complete control. you're there on the ground. So, you know, with social media, you can plan a lot. You can plan a lot of your posts, but a lot of things just happen on the day-to-day that are really interesting to share. So, you know, if you outsource that, they're not going to see that. They're not going to be on the ground. And it's, you know, you can do it on your phone. It's easy. It's not, you know, like you can just snap a picture and put it up. So we've always just thought about doing it in-house. But I suppose for the past year, I actually wasn't working in the business. I went back to college, so I didn't have as much time to focus on social media. And it's just me and my parents, and I wouldn't let them do it. So then we saw, you know, like we didn't have as many posts, we didn't get as much engagement for that whole year. So I guess that could have been a good time to outsource it had we, I suppose, had the budget. So you have to really think maybe, you know, have you got the time to do it? And have you got someone who enjoys doing social media, because it can be overwhelming and it takes up a lot of time. Then you should do it in-house. If not, if that's not your area, you know, maybe getting someone to come in, or even getting an intern or something like that to come in a couple of days a week could be really useful to outsource it. But right now we're doing it all ourselves.
Good stuff. Natalie, I go straight to you on the same question, please.
So we do a mix actually. So the day-to-day posting would be all done in-house, and we do that because it's nearly impossible for anybody else to have your voice, I think. So it'd be hard to outsource that part of what we do. When it comes to key campaigns, Easter and Christmas time, and we are running ads, that's almost like the black arts, isn't it? It's running ads and ad funnels. So we get people in to help us with that. We've worked with a couple of different agencies to help us for those key campaigns. They're so important to the brand. They have to be managed well, and they have to be managed properly, and therefore we get other people to come in and to help us run those ads, track them, monitor them, and make sure that we're getting the return on spend that we need. Okay,
so a mixed approach, and I guess that has come from experience of doing some stuff well, and then doing something like that didn't work so well.
Exactly. Years of experience, years of getting some things right, a lot of things wrong, and then we have still when we work with somebody for key campaigns, Easter, Christmas, and literally just for running ads for us, we work with the same agency that we've been working with for years. So there's actually a deep relationship there. It's not somebody, you can't actually just hire anybody to come in and do this work for you. You've got to be very invested, you've got to be very involved. It's got to be a very collaborative approach to get it done properly and done right.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some experience with social media, and it's typically not with the brands that I set up myself, because that was sort of certainly New Covent Garden, where we set that up was pre-social media era. But on a personal branding level, it's kind of like if you get somebody else to do it because you just don't have the time, and they think, oh well, I wouldn't have. It's more like tone of voice, isn't it? I wouldn't have quite put it like that. Yeah, it's very difficult to teach somebody tone of voice, because they look at what they did and then look at how I correct it, and they go, well, it's the same thing, but well, it's not. So you end up, so you end up going in circles. Yeah. Justin, tell us what your experience is like on all of this, outsourcing versus in-house, and the pros and cons.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's very similar to Maeve's situation. We do all ours kind of in-house. It's all done by myself, Luke, you know, and we try and get some staff members involved more recently, just to help us if we're a bit stuck in the rut a little bit. So yeah, we're always kind of back and forth with each other. It's like, will this look okay? Will this be okay? And so we haven't at the moment looked at like outsourcing just yet. Maybe it was something might be in the future, like using the intern, like Maeve said. So like, we're lucky that we have Truly IT quite close by, and we could look out towards their marketing team and just maybe possibly take an intern to do maybe stock file pictures for us, just so that we have something like that we can have if we're lost for time a little bit, or just don't have that time to do it. So that's we were kind of looking at that avenue. But yeah, from the day to day, it's kind of all just us at the moment. But as time has gone on, it's got a bit busier. We're finding it a little bit more of a challenge to put out quality posts. So yeah, that's where we are right now. But yeah, still in-house, still us.
Good stuff. Ruth, coming back to you as the final quartet of this question, please.
Yes, so since I started, we've had a big experience doing both. And right now we're actually taking it all in-house, including all the ads. So I kind of do all the social media, so everything that goes up is me, myself. So it is kind of getting that time and getting that balance as well. But last year, just from experience, like we got a company to outsource it that helped us with pushing out the ads, and they did all the ads. Now I had access to all the information, so I could see what they were doing. So I was like in the background looking at what they were doing. And then we kind of got the thing back, and it went really well. And then this year I said to my manager, I said, look, can we actually bring the ads in-house? I was like, I feel like we can do it. I said, it's, you know, I've been looking at them in the back end. I said, it doesn't look that difficult. And I feel like we know our audience that bit better than they do. And I said, look, we'll be able to, there is an additional cost for managing it then as well. And I was like, we can put that additional cost behind our ads. And she was like, okay, so we actually brought it in-house, and I did it myself for the January and February campaign. And we actually spent less money on ads than we did for December, but we received a lot more impressions and reach than we did when the outsourcing company were doing it. So I think it was just, for me, it was kind of like we knew our audience that bit better. And we were able to spend that extra bit of money on, say, content for that. So we were able to get more content and get them maybe to create more animations, and then us put them up rather than them doing it all. So I think for me, it's kind of like outsourcing. Like Natalie says, she's a really good relationship with her. That's key. I think that's key, and they need to understand that. But we just found that this year, taking it in-house just works for us.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for that, Ruth. Jason, I know you're in the background there. I'm going to keep running for a few more minutes. Okay. Let me know if we've got a lot of questions piled up. I think we're going to run till 5 past, if not 10 past 12. Is that
5 past?
5 past. Okay. We're aiming for 5 past. Okay. So in that case, we've got 2 minutes, and we'll allow 15 minutes for questions. I'm going to open this question, guys. It's kind of a bit of a repeat of what I asked earlier, but and maybe we won't go to all 4. Maybe, you know, jump in and tell me which of you wants to answer it, or maybe we'll take 2 out of the 4. But it's back to the KPIs and the measurement, isn't it? It's like, so if we're not measuring to generate revenue, we've established it a little bit, yes, but not really. It's all about awareness and telling our stories and explaining our heritage and building that brand. What does good look like? Really, and what moves the dial? So if we're not trying to build revenue, we're trying to build brand awareness. How do we measure that? And what KPIs do we implement that says a pretty good handle on what I'm doing is really building awareness, or I'm just trying it and I'm not really sure how it's landing? Who wants to take that one? Natalie, you're nodding away. Maybe we go to you on that.
Yeah, you're right. It's about looking at everything, isn't it? It's about having to read everything that your customer is telling you. So for us, if you really, really want to measure it, we actually do measure it with sales. So we, like I said, we do have a strong website, so we can see that direct link, which is great, which is helpful. We also, like I said earlier, we measure it by newsletter signups. We measure it on traffic coming to the website. We measure it with engagement, so everything from people messaging us to well, it could be a retailer, it could be somebody looking to stock the product, or it could be somebody looking to buy the product, or it could be somebody, like I said, looking to carry on the conversation with us. So we're taking all of that information. What's hard to measure actually now is likes on a post or something like that. That simple measure has gone for us. We don't get nearly as many people liking a post, but I think that's across the board with social, that they're just thrown in too quickly. So we have to use lots and lots of, we have to just take all of that information, put it all together, and get a feel for whether that worked or didn't work.
Right. So it's not like there's a lot of trial and error, a lot of learning.
A lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
A lot of trial and error. Yeah.
Justin, Ruth, or Maeve, please jump in terms of, adding to that answer.
Yeah, so I suppose for us, we're just kind of reaching impressions would be a lot what we'd look at when we're pushing out the ads. And then the final would be frequency. So frequency is like how many people can see the ad. And so the more frequent it would be, the more, like, we're always trying to up our frequency to like 2 or 3 or 4. But anything above that, we feel like we're a bit hassling people if they've seen it more than that on their page. Like, okay. So that'd be one thing. And then I suppose link clicks. So if you have a call to action on the page that goes to the website, like having that, I suppose that has to be up above a percentage of like 1 or 2%. And once you're in that, worth your spend, I think it's relatively good. It sounds small, but I suppose in terms of like your reach impressions, if you've impressions of 1 million people and you've 2%, you know, if you get 2,000 people clicking on your website or 200 people, it's better than nothing. So it's really good just to see that kind of click through. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, listen, I'll tell you what, we can always come back to that answer. Natalie, sorry, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it goes back to brand voice actually, and making sure that your brand voice is truthful to who you are and what your brand is, because sometimes what we have found when it hasn't really worked really well, we found that there's been a lot of traffic to the site, but not a lot of conversions. So what's happened is there's a lot of people who've come to the site, but they're not actually Bean Goose customers. And that comes back down to getting your voice right, getting your messaging correct, to attract, because you're better off with fewer visitors, but a higher conversion rate than lots and lots of visitors and nobody actually buying anything on your store. That's pointless too.
Got it. Okay, I think time is against us, so Maeve and Justin, by all means, add to that if we get a chance to come in on another question here. But Jason, you've got some questions from the audience. We'd love to take those.
That's right. I'm just gonna ask Peter to ask your question. If you could unmute yourself.
And while you're doing that, Peter, tell us if there's one particular panelist you'd like the answer from, or generally from anybody.
Hi there. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, thanks for letting me ask a question. I'm a co-owner of a small startup business called Plants and Roots. It launched just last month. I've got about 130 followers on Instagram at the moment. So my question is really, how have you sort of grown your social media followings to, you know, so significantly, you know, in the thousands, you know, and how long has that taken? Sort of, can you just pull out sort of what are the sort of key tactics you sort of employed to sort of get to that position? Which ones for you were sort of the most successful? And if you used any sort of paid marketing in that as well, it'd be good to hear. That's a question for anyone really. So yeah, no one specific.
All right, jump in, guys.
Okay, so I will very quickly jump in. It's taken us all of the 8 years to grow to 11.4 thousand followers. It's a slow process. What happens is you will get to a certain number of Instagram followers when it will snowball, when it will grow faster. How did we do it? How we did it 8 years ago would probably be different to how you would do it now. If I was doing it now and just started a brand, I would use lots of video content. Reels and video content gets so much better traction than static images on Instagram. So I would use lots of video, lots of reel, and I would also show as much of behind the scenes and personality of the brand as you're comfortable doing. It's actually something we're not great at, but I see other brands that are really, really good at that, showing the behind the scenes, the people behind the brand, and that's when things really work for them on social. That's mine.
Thanks, Natalie.
Okay.
Justin and Maeve, I'm conscious that we didn't go to you earlier, so if you want to jump in here, please do.
Yeah. So Peter, it's like we you know, like similar, started off quite a small business, and then as time's gone on, like Natalie says, it has taken, it's a long process to get to that, you know, how many followers you can get. What I found, you know, at the beginning, obviously with the products, and just trying to get people into the door to see the shop itself, and then from there was reposts and stories, and using like video content, like Natalie said, is a great way forward, I think, moving forward. What we found as well is doing small competitions, you know, getting other, you know, followers to share or to tag another friend, and that might build up a little bit more kind of followers back then. And also at the same time, it's organic in its own way, because you know, you're only reaching out to your own followers that you already have and just trying to get them to kind of add a few more of interest and friends and followers to come onto that. You know, reach out to family members and friends and just, you know, tell them, go for it, post as much as you can. Yeah,
Sure thing.
Yeah, I'd just add to that as well. I suppose we're very small and we started in 2013. But I find, you know, engaging with your audience, you know, if they post a picture of your product or tag you, like, you know, make sure to reply to them and thank them. And like I kind of dedicate some time every day to like DMs and any like reposts and things like that. For any of your new retailers, if you're in their stores, like take a picture of your product on the shelves and tag them and things like that, I find has been really useful, just to like show that you're actually engaging and you appreciate people engaging with your brand. Has been really helpful for us to grow as well.
Wonderful, thanks for that. Jason, we'll take another question.
Yeah, we got lots more questions coming in. If everyone could put them in the Q&A section, they get lost in the chat, unfortunately. So next up, we got Matthew. If you could unmute yourself, please.
Hey folks, how's it going?
Good stuff, Matthew. Go right ahead, ask a question.
I was just wondering, just with it being such a digital era and people having a shorter and shorter attention span, I was just wondering how many of you and how often you would use video on social media, and if so, what type of editing do you use, or do you outsource?
Natalie, you mentioned video already, so I've got to go straight to you, and then Ruth. Absolutely, get you on this. It'll be perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, so we use it as much as possible. Our plan will be to use it more, Matthew, and you'll see more video content purely because of the reach it has. We do it in-house. The great thing about video content and people on social nowadays is they don't need a polished video. You don't need to get anybody into, you don't need to get a marketing person in to do this. In fact, in many ways, the rawer and more natural the video and the content, the more they connect with it. So your iPhone is absolutely fine. So real content on your iPhone is absolutely fine, and people will engage with that as long as it's truthful and real.
Yeah, I would agree with Natalie on that. So over the weekend, it was sunny Friday, so I was like, we're going to do reels. So like literally just use the iPhone, like that's all I have, and take a few clips, and like you said, keep it real, like, because then I use my own hands in it. Say if there's a lunchbox that has a scratch on it, like everyone has lunchbox on a scratch, but no, nothing's going to be perfect. So like keep it authentic and like kind of relating to your audience. Like everything's not going to be perfect for your reel. It's nice to have it looking well, but in reality, like, you know, I know if I see something, a really clean cup, or there's, you know, there's something, you know, like it looks really fresh, I'm like, okay, at home my kitchen ain't going to look like that. I won't be able to make that, you know, so keep it as authentic as possible. But you asked, I think in the question you asked about programs, so like I only use my iPhone, and then you can use like Instagram or TikTok, or even I have an app, Premiere Rush. It's like free on your iPhone, and it's really easy just to clip, get rid of the sound and stuff like that, and so it's just handy. But it doesn't take that long, and you can do it yourself on an iPhone, so it's relatively easy.
Thanks, Ruth. Justin, I imagine in your business, in terms of the experience in the store, and also Maeve, you know, the ruggedness of Achill Island, there's a whole bunch of opportunities here to convey that through video. Is that your experiences too, and how's it worked out for you?
Yeah, no, it's we use it a lot for, like, you know, as like reel posts and stories on Instagram. We haven't started on TikTok yet, which I know is a big kind of video content and kind of social media platform. It's something we're looking into, but we're just, I don't know if we're really there yet with it, so we're gonna, you know, we're looking to that in the future. But yeah, like that's just giving like small snippets of the shop, you know, just kind of, if, you know, like yesterday we had a DJ in the shop, so we just thought, you know, we'd take a little video of him and just, you know, get the vibe out there. Works well for us in that sense. We haven't gone down the route of like getting outsourced kind of videos of the, you know, of roasting the coffee and stuff like that, but it's something that we'd be definitely interested in the future. Yeah, so
yeah, I suppose just for us, our video content has been minimal so far. Social media moves so quickly. You know, I wasn't here for a year and it was all static posts, and now it's all reels. So you do have to keep up with it. But from the videos that we have posted, especially on our stories, like everyone says, you're definitely getting more engagement. So for us, it'll be a great opportunity to show how we make the salt and where we're from, because like you said, you know, it's quite rugged and wild out here. So it's a great way to kind of show authentically about your brand. That's all down the line for us.
I can see the next one coming along now. You got a drone coming in over Achill Island, and you got all
yeah.
I'll probably stop before I get too excited on that one. Justin, Jason, I beg your pardon. Next question, if you could line one up for us, please.
Yep. So Margaret, do you want to unmute yourself? Edgegill, because there are a couple of Margarets on the call. Okay, I'll ask that one. I'll read it out for Natalie. How much is your budget for? Oh, sorry, Margaret, you're unmuted now.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Hi. It was really just to determine how much the budget is for your Christmas event, when you commenced it, and what was the other thing? When you commenced it, and for how long, please?
Yes. So the budget last 2021 was 5,000. That's the budget for ad spend. We split that across Facebook and Google Ads, and we started the campaign in October, and we ran it right through till early January.
Super. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Thanks for that, Margaret, and Natalie as well. Jason, we'll pick up one more.
Neil, there you go.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. So 2 quick questions open to the floor. One, looking for a recommendation for a good CRM tool for startups that will maybe incorporate the marketing piece, the sales piece, give good data. And then if you're happy to share it, what is your marketing spend as a percentage of overall revenue? Thanks.
So CRM tool, who wants to take that one? Ruth, I've got to go to you first. How's that?
So because we're small, so it's only myself and my manager. We only use Agora Pulse, and then our sales team look after everything to do with sales. Maybe they should be on part of the call here. But yeah, CRM, HubSpot is another one, as you've mentioned there. It's another good one. But just I'm only using Agora Pulse just to get back to customers and stuff like that. But in terms of your marketing spend and percentage of sales, yeah, it's one that I've been fighting for since I've started here. So like when I first started, it was €100 a month that I had for ad spends. And then the second year, say it's just the midterm, it was €200, and now I have €600. So I've been fighting for it since. So it's just kind of more like trying to push, being like, okay, this will work. So it's kind of, in terms of percentage of sales, it doesn't really, because it doesn't, return on investment doesn't say, for us, for our company, we don't have that direct to customer link when you're on social. So it's more kind of fighting your corner for me anyway. So yeah, if anyone else wants to answer it.
Conscious of time, and I want to take one more question, but please come in on that answer, Justin, or maybe you have anything to add to that CRM budget.
CRMs, I don't think we really use them that much. Like I said earlier, kind of Shopify is really the only tool that we use when we're looking at engaging, our sales. When it comes to a budget of marketing, it's kind of off the cuff, really. We don't really give ourselves a kind of a limit throughout the year. What we use is like towards Christmas time, we might do a paid promotion post just to get a bit more of a reach out there across the nation. But other than that, that would be kind of the most that we do. Yeah, so we keep kind of our marketing budget is actually quite minimal, really. We just kind of just do everything really off the cuff on the day. So that's what we do with there anyway.
Thanks, Justin. Maeve, I don't know if that actually applies to you, or something you could add to that.
No, we'd be kind of similar to Justin,
Right.
very off the cuff. Yeah.
No worries. Jason, have we time for one more question?
Yeah, let's do it. It's a very quick one from Leonie.
Hi guys, I have the kids here, so they mightn't stay quiet. I was just asking, have you got a set of rules when you're making videos as to the time frame, or the content? Like, do recipes work best, or do behind the scenes work best?
So for me, I think just because I suppose we're kind of a yogurt facility, so everyone's dressed in headgear gowns, so doing behind the scenes isn't really that interesting when they're big metal vats. So definitely we have done it before, but it just doesn't really work. But recipes is definitely the one that works for us, and it just kind of gets people creative and shows people what they can actually do with yogurt, like very simple, like putting granola on the yogurt just to add something extra. That would be what works for us the best.
Great. Thanks, Ruth. Natalie, go ahead. Did you want to jump in?
Yeah, so for us, what works really well is the behind the scenes and meeting of the team. So the people behind the brand is really gets our customer engaged. What what's going to work for your customer, it really depends on your brand and what you've got. I think the key is to give something, is to offer something. So whether that's the recipes that works really well for Ruth and her team, or whatever it is for your team, it's about giving. It's about finding something that your customer, that you can give to them. And I think as long as you make sure that the relationship between you and the customer is you also giving as well as looking for sales, I think you're probably, I think that works well. So you have to give, whatever that might be, whether it's a recipe or a behind the scenes or an interview or a glimpse of a new product, whatever it is, you have to find that out with your customer.
Good stuff, Natalie. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Guys, we're out of time. I'm going to have to bring the curtain down. Thank you so much. Sorry we started late, but I think we squeezed everything in. We really good exchange. Thanks to the panelists. Thanks for your input, guys, and being available today to answer all these questions, and the attendees as well. Next one, I think, is on 19th. Jason may want to correct this. So I think it's the 19th of September. We'll be talking about funding for your startup. We'll be talking about also the different methods of funding your business, from friends and family all the way through to VC. I'll talk more about Reedsdale there as well. I look forward to seeing you guys then. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.